All right. So hopefully you guys had enough of Angry Patrick. This is just a little build I wanted to show. This is Paul G in New Mexico in Las Cruces. He had a CSP from Concept, which was originally designed by Larry F. over at Cicada Audio. And they originally designed it with a quad 8-layer copper coil. And guess who has those copper coils? Me. And so they were originally designed for the 12-spoke when used with RE audio on their, what was it called? Destroyer, RE audio Destroyer. Those I think were either imported or built or both by Concept Industries there in California. So Paul brought it in. It was an RE audio Destroyer with the 12-spoke frame. And I ran out of TI frames, 18-inch TI frames with the proper bolt hole pattern. So I broke out the last Sundown frame that I kept in the library. It allows for, I think that's a 12-inch. Is it 11-inch or a 12-inch spider on top? So I'm going to see if I can fit it to see if the Gonzo cone will fit. But I wanted to show it off to you guys because I doubt any of you have really saw the inside of one. For some reason, Jacob went, when he tooled up this frame, as I complained earlier, it's not detachable. So he could have easily put in windows, which there's a couple of custom builders that actually mill out windows for venting. So you don't have to use the spacer, which for a long time they used plastic. Oh, right up my butthole. They used plastic spacers, and I don't really like it because they crack and there's all kinds of other problems. I like these. These are just steel bearing spacers, popular on skateboard wheels, and they're 10 millimeter and they work great. And so Jacob in Sundown, same thing, tooled up this frame, lots of money, probably $40,000-$50,000 for the tooling, plus the actual cost per frame is probably right around, let's be generous and say $8 to $10 per frame. And then what's funny is the way they tooled it up was, I guess, for something really big because the bolt hole circle is really wide, and so they actually tooled up an adapter for it as well, which is this little guy, which you can't buy from Sundown because you got to get it from a dealer. The dealer can get it, so, and I know because I was a dealer and I used to buy them. But I tried to use them for some other applications, but they're really specialized for this one because this one uses an 8-hole pattern for the frame, and then I'm using the standard 127 millimeter 5-inch bolt hole pattern on the CSP, which is those guys. So, but I wanted to go over it, and let's see. Paul he wants to hit a half-ohm load, which is fine. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to give him options. So I'm using the coil, which is this coil here. So this is the 8-layer, and then I'm going to extend it with an old former up to probably about 6-7 inches total. And I've gone through that process. I've shown you guys. And then what I'm going to do is basically just tap out. And so I'm going to use a lower spider, probably the 10-inch spider for the lower leads, which you got to insulate on this second one. And then I have a couple of 12-inch spiders, 11-inch spiders, whatever they are, that are going to go on the top. We may even just double stack the 10-inch spiders. I don't know until I know if the cone fits. So, and then that way it'll be quad. So it'll be 2 ohm, 2 ohm, 2 ohm, 2 ohm. He can wire them all in parallel for a half-ohm load, which is what he wants. But I don't like locking people into that. That's sort of like getting a teenager pregnant. It's going to cause you to have commitments you didn't normally plan for. So, so he's going to have quad 2 ohm, and then if he wants to put 8 amplifiers on here, he can. So again, it doesn't really change the performance. It just gives him options in the future. So I also don't like hardwiring down to a low impedance like that. We've seen where people burn up leads. I just had a 400 ounce, what do you call it? Lower to base 400 ounce motor, the 3-inch come in, and I had originally made it dual half ohm. Yeah, dual half ohm. And then somebody had wired it in parallel. And I was like, oh, okay. And it burned up the leads because they were just putting too much current through it. It's just too much draw, too much everything. And so on certain things, like on that one, I actually rebuilt it. I was able to reuse the coil because the leads burned up, and then I just hardwired it in series. So it's a 1 ohm load, and then it'll have in fact, there it is. It'll have 2 terminals, one positive, one negative, and then the leads are doled up. See, I recycled that one. And that was my original GONZO coil, which we had. They were like a 4-layer, flat wound, 70 millimeter tall. Pretty good, pretty awesome. That was the first, I don't want to say attempt, but that was the first batch. And then of course you go back to the vendor, and then the vendor's like, we want more money. I'm like, I got to find another vendor. So, but, oh, I think that was it. Yeah, here's one that's already done. So, just epoxy, rubber bands. You want to make sure that this one is not cut. That's because this one's from a Rockford coil, which is slightly larger. But you want to make sure that there's that split right there. See that? Make sure that there's not a short, because if this is a short, that becomes a shorting ring, and it stops. It breaks. B-R-A-K-E, breaks the excursion in the field. Not that this would go down that far, but you just don't tempt fate, as they say. But I think that was it for this. But yeah, I got to do the coil tonight, and then the hard part right now is that little mix-up that I don't know what happened. I haven't really talked to George about it, Lord of Base, about the import of Scott's Phi TI frames, which have different bolt hole circles on them. It's just causing difficulties. I'm trying to overcome them, and that's why we do the GONZO Jr motor that has the third bolt pattern, 127, 135, and then 160. Again, to give you more flexibility, and the idea that you should be reconing that over and over and over again. It's not going to be branded at all. No micro laser or anything like that, because I really don't. I really want it to be invisible. I really just want to change the entire scenery, the entire world, just by injecting generic parts that are just high performance. And of course, I'll see the results because we'll be moving units. But I don't mind. I don't mind burning down the whole industry. Like the guys were dicks. Like somebody was talking about Scott Dilbeck. Scott Dilbeck and his dad have been doing this for years. So dicks like that can burn. I don't give a shit. So but I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later. But that's the Concept CSP for Paul in Las Cruces. Paul, thank you for your patience. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.